Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have talked previously about what is a function. Now let's talk about what this looks like with domains and ranges and all of that good stuff. So let me just kind of draw a graph on here. And let's say our graph looks like this. Okay? I know it's kind of funny looking, but we're just going to go with it. And so when we're looking at the domain, we're looking at this part. So let's say this is -2 and maybe this is 7. So if we're looking at that, we would say that the domain is between -2 and 7. And I'm going to put brackets around this just so we can see it looking like that. Okay, and that's where our graph is. On our x-axis, which is right here, it hits -2 and it hits 7. It doesn't go all the way to -12,000 for our graph. And that's just where our graph is. Now the range is our y value. So I'm going to do that in blue. Okay, and then let's just kind of do that. And I'm going to say that this is 10, maybe -10. So then our range is going to be between -10 and +10. Okay, and so this is the domain and range. And now if we want to check out whether or not it's a function, one of the best ways is to draw vertical lines. On your papers, I know you guys can draw much better ones, and they'll be much straighter and neater. But if I were to do this, and I were to keep doing this, I'm going to check. Does my graph hit, well, let's rephrase this. So it touches here and here and here. It's going to touch here. Oh, sorry. That last one was a mistake. It doesn't touch there. Okay. So where does it touch? It touches the red line here, here, here. But do you see how it only touches one point on per red line? It's not that multiple. This one is a little bit different. If we were to make this larger, it wouldn't look like it's touching that one, as just because of how I drew it. So I will draw another example to make this a lot easier. But we're using this line test. If it's going to intersect at more than one point on the graph, then it's not going to be a function. This happens to be a function. So let's look at one that really isn't a function, that I know kind of tends to throw you guys a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do my domain in green again. And my range in blue. And remember, these are kind of more or less guesstimates at this point. So let's say this is 5 maybe, -5. And then for our domain, maybe this is a -3, and this is a 5. So our domain for this would fall between -3, +5. Our range, so our y values, would fall between -5 and +5. Now we're going to do the line test. So if I do this, the line crosses my graph twice. See how when it intersects that graph, it hits it twice? That automatically, as soon as that happens, we can say, bam, see ya, you're out of here. You are not a function. So that's the whole point. Can we tell if it's a function or not based upon that? So, and I know that you guys are going to catch this one very quickly. So if we had a circle, our domain in the green, before I give you the wrong color, so I'm looking at between this point and this point on the x-axis, where does that fall? I'm going to look at the range, which is going to be between this point up there, and this point right down here to see where it could possibly be within that range of the y-axis. Now, when I do my line test, okay, well, automatically it crosses here and here. So is this a function? No, this is not, because as soon as I drew that, I went through two parts of one graph. So as soon as that happens, nope, sorry, you are not a function. So let's say I have this graph. So we all know that this graph is going to continue and is going to continue on our x-axis this way. So we are going from negative infinity to positive infinity. And on our y value, we have our positive infinity, and it's going to keep going in our negative infinity because it's just going to keep going. Now when I do my test and I draw my vertical line, so my up and down line, if we look, it touches the graph there. Touches the graph there. So far so good. So far so good. See how it only touches the graph on those 1 points? While this one hit the graph there and there. That can't happen for it to be a function. So this is a no, and this one is a yes. So this is a no, this is not a function, while this one is. One of the examples we looked at class had to do with diving. And yes, we have a flying diver, so we're just going to go with that. My flying diver, and then swim, 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 and then back up. Okay, now for my domain, I'm looking to see where on the x-axis. So from this point, the swimmer is going to go all the way until this point. That's my domain. Remember, my range is going to be from the highest point on my graph to my lowest point. That's all that is. Now when I do the test, so when I draw my line, okay, it touches here, and it intersects there, touches there, 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 and there, and there. So it only, when we do this test, there's no point where where it has touched the same graph twice versus when we had a circle. So is this a function? Yes, this is a function. Good job. So this is just all we're doing with the domain and range and graphs. If you have questions, please make sure you see me home base or lunch, or if you want to email me questions, that's okay too. Bye guys.